What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Tech Savvy Buyer. So today we're going to take a look at BenQ's EX3501R, which is a refresh of their EX3501 series. In fact, this one's got a few more features included that the previous one didn't. So let's take a look at that. But just before we do, let's get a quick word from today's video sponsor.
Are you looking for a way to protect your shiny new device? Well, check out Skinit. From laptops to phones and gaming consoles, Skinit makes high-quality skins that offer durable protection. They've got you covered, literally. Visit skinit.com for more information.
So welcome back to Tech Savvy Buyer, guys. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to take a look at the EX3501R. This is an ultra-wide 21:9 aspect ratio, 3440 by 1440p resolution screen, so essentially it's a 2K screen. It has an 1800R curvature, which gives you that nice wraparound immersive type feeling when you're gaming or when you're even doing any kind of work on it, whether it's just your day-to-day browsing or even stuff like content creation, for example. Watching movies on it is also a blast. I only didn't like one thing, where if a movie doesn't support 21:9 resolution, or sorry, aspect ratio, you're going to get that letterboxing coming on the sides, and the same can be said for some games as well. So when pairing this with an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, you're not going to get the full 21.9 aspect ratio on pretty much any games, at least in my testing. None of them seem to give you that full wraparound screen effect. But nonetheless, if you turn around to the back, the monitor itself is very, very beautifully built. It has a very nice pass-through area that's got a chrome inseam, so you can pass your cables through it and keep your desk neat, kind of like you can see back there. So as I mentioned, the BenQ EX3501R comes with a load of different features. So let's take a look at some of them off the bat. You get a 20 million to 1 contrast ratio, so essentially it's about 2500 to 1. The monitor also supports full sRGB color implementation, which makes it really, really great for people who are looking to do some kind of photoshopping or video editing tools and use, things that require a lot of accuracy when it comes to color reproduction. So you will be getting that with this monitor. Now, on the back of the monitor, you get a wide array of different ports for connectivity. You have 2 HDMI ports, you have 2 USB 3.0 ports, a display port, the power port, a USB Type-C port as well. So you can actually connect this to, let's say, a MacBook Pro or even any other monitor that doesn't have a traditional HDMI out or display port out via the USB Type-C port. And you also get a headphone jack. Now, while there isn't any built-in speakers in this monitor, you can get audio pass-through just by using the headphone jack on this monitor. Now, the front of this monitor, it is very, very beautiful looking. As you guys can see right there, I think there's no complaints at all from the aesthetics of this monitor. It is super, super nice looking. On the bottom, you have very nice chrome stand legs that seem to do a really good job in holding up the monitor and doesn't make it feel like it's going to be tipping over very easily or very fragile in that case. However, on the con side of that, since it is a chrome style legs, they are really prone to fingerprints, so you might want to keep a soft microfiber cloth or something with you so that you can clean it if you get your fingerprints on it, if you're one of those type of people. I know I am, so I always keep one with me just in case if I want to clean it up. Now, this monitor offers a 100 Hertz refresh rate. It is capable with Freesync by Radeon, or AMD's technology. And for those of you guys who aren't aware of that, that essentially just mirrors or matches up the refresh rate of your graphics card with your monitor, so they're in sync together and there's no screen tearing going on at all. So having that capability on the monitor is definitely a plus. I wish that they would have gone and made one for G-Sync so I could have done some more testing with mine, because I have an NVIDIA card. However, no complaints there for real on the fact that they included the AMD one over the G-Sync one, because as you guys already know, or if you don't know, G-Sync usually commands a much higher price. Now, one of the other touted features of this monitor is that it offers HDR capability. Now, I reviewed a BenQ EL2870U not too long ago, and I saw a similar issue to the one that I'm reviewing today as well, and it's that the HDR implementation in this monitor is really subpar, almost to the point that I would say it's not really HDR. I wouldn't really call this HDR. And the reason for that is pretty simple. You need to have a certain peak level of brightness nits before you can classify a monitor as HDR. It needs to have a wider color profile so that you can really see the contrast ratios and get those deeper blacks, those brighter whites, and the colors get really, really defined. In the case of this monitor, it only comes in at 300 nits brightness. 300 nits brightness is, while it's good enough for a regular SDR content. I wouldn't classify this as HDR capable. However, when you do enable the HDR mode on this monitor, you do see a little bit of differences in colors. So for my specific use, I tend to just leave the HDR functionality left off on this because I noticed much more better color reproduction in just plain SDR mode versus HDR mode. Now you might be wondering what's that thing right under the BenQ logo in front of it. That is actually their ambient light sensor. And this goes hand in hand with BenQ's Brightness Intelligence Plus technology. What that essentially does is it measures the amount of light in your room and adjusts the brightness of the screen accordingly. So a very simple comparison is like when you turn the auto brightness feature on your cell phone, and if you're in a dark room, the brightness tends to go down so it doesn't strain on your eyes. The monitor has the same use of that kind of feature through its sensor, and they just call it Brightness Intelligence Plus. Now, one thing that's worth noting as part of the Brightness Intelligence Plus is that it really only works in certain modes. So if you set up a custom color profile on your monitor using the OSD menu, you won't be able to take advantage of the BI Plus technology. So do keep that in mind when you want to enable this. Now, the monitor doesn't offer a wide array of adjustment capabilities. You can pretty much just tilt it back and forth, or you can lift and lower the height of the screen depending on your table and your setup. What I do particularly like about the monitor is two specific things. One is the fact that you can buy a separate kit to mount this monitor. It has a Visa mounting capability along with a kit that's purchased separately. So if you don't like having it on your desk or those adjustments are not according to your liking, you can always go ahead and mount it on a monitor mount, which is definitely nice to see. There are a lot of brands out there that don't offer a mounting or Visa mounting capability at all, which kind of limits you to your desk situation or however you have that set up. The other thing that I really like about it are the bezels are pretty slim on this monitor. They allow it so that if you want to set up a multi-monitor setup in your gaming area or your production area or wherever you do plan to use a monitor, aside from just regular stuff with computers, you can actually make it so that it's almost invisible bezels in a way. So when they're lined up next to each other, the only real thick bezel is the one at the bottom, and that one to me is not, a huge impact. But around the sides, at least, if you want to place, 3-round setup or 2-monitor setup, it would look really, really nice. So while we're talking about things I do like, the other thing I like about this is that the footprint of this monitor is actually really, really small. So I got a lot of questions about the tables that I use for my setup, and I essentially am just using countertops from IKEA, and I've kind of just MacGyvered them into tables here, but they're not very, very deep. So they're probably about 26 to 30 inches deep. I don't remember the exact measurement, but what I do know is that putting this monitor on there gives you still plenty of space to have your keyboard, your peripherals, and all that stuff around there. So it actually neatened my desk quite a bit. Before this, I used to use an Asus MX34 VGQ, which wouldn't give you that kind of cleanliness of space because it was kind of cluttered at the bottom. There was a Q wireless charging base to it. While that was nice in itself, it just made my desk kind of unorganized. So I like the fact that the legs on this are widely spread apart and give you that space. You can tilt it and lift it up, you can bring it down, however according to your liking. Now the 100 Hz refresh rate is awesome for any of you first-person shooter gamers out there, or pretty much any gamers really. I noticed the biggest difference when I play FPS games, and even third-person shooters for that matter. You get really, really fluid and smooth gameplay, provided you have a graphics card that can support 2K resolution up to 100 frames per second, such as let's say a GTX 1080 Ti or even a 1070 Ti. You're looking at some really, really good gameplay on this monitor. And most games on PC offer the ability for you to get the aspect ratio of 21:9, something that consoles don't currently offer. So I wouldn't say that this is the monitor that you'd want to pick up if you want to play console gaming, and for that I would say stick with the EL2870U. That still works as a good monitor for pairing with your Xbox One X or your PS4 Pro. But for this specifically, I would recommend that if you have a PC that has, a capable graphics card that can push that kind of frame rates on that resolution, this would pair with it really, really well. Overall, I'm very, very satisfied with this monitor. I think BenQ did an outstanding job in terms of the aesthetics of the monitor, in terms of the build quality of the monitor, the different capabilities that this monitor has. While there are a few quirks here and there that kind of, nod as a ding in my book, including the fact that HDR is not really truly representative HDR. The panel is a VA panel and not an IPS panel. And of course, the millisecond response time on this is 4 ms, whereas you get a lot more gaming monitors that are down to 1 millisecond response time. With that being said though, I don't think this monitor was geared specifically towards gamers, because because the one that they made for gamers was the EX3501, like I mentioned previously in this video, which had a 144 Hz panel, and it was, I think, a full HD screen resolution. So a bump up in the resolution and the implementation of HDR did drive this price to be a little bit higher than you would expect. The BenQ EX3501R is priced in at $799 or $800 US. For those of you guys who do want to pick this up, I have links in the description below where you can grab it on Amazon. So in conclusion, guys, this monitor is a very, very nice monitor. The inclusion of 100 Hz refresh rate, USB Type-C connectivity or connected capability, the fact that you can mount this onto a wall with the VESA mounting kit sold separately, and the fact that it does have somewhat of an HDR implementation, to me make this monitor really, really worth the price tag that it commands. The 1800R curvature and the support for AMD Radeon's Freesync technology make this one heck of a gaming monitor, even though it's not being sold as a gaming monitor. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time working on this monitor and getting a chance to enjoy some gaming on this monitor, and I would say anyone who's looking for a nice all-in-one type monitor, which is super wide, gets you the amount of real estate that you want on your screen to do multiple tasks and have them split separately and connect, multiple devices to one screen without having to switch around. I think this is definitely the monitor for you in that case. Well guys, that brings me to the end of this video. What do you guys think of BenQ's EX3501R? Do you think this monitor is worth 800 bucks given the fact that the HDR implementation in it isn't really truly HDR? Let me know in the comments below, guys, and as usual, if you like this content, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you aren't subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. And until then, guys, I will see you on my next video.